Wait for it. Wait for it, and we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blaze podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans, a Stabby Chaos Coordinator, and one Chief Shenanigator, geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we are going to get into this episode. But before we let our guests introduce themselves, I will tell you that it is official. As you're listening to this, we have our Substack open. I will be posting, much like we do on our Discord, the write-up for the episode, the link to all the places, the sponsor as a post. At one point in time, we had said that would be the newsletter you could sign up for, so you could do just to volunteer for panels. Unfortunately, I did some digging. Substack doesn't work that way, so I can't segregate to that degree. So if you sign up to join us on Substack, you will get emails when we post. Once I get caught up on season 6, because that's where we're starting, it will be one a day. Until then, it'll be 7 a day until I can get all the posts up, because we just want to get them going. But otherwise, it'll be three a week as we post the episodes. We will have to come up with a solution for a newsletter specific for that if you guys want to come on the show, because you never know what you get if you post an open comment like that on Twitter or Threads or Blue Sky or whatever else is out there. So we're trying to ensure we don't lose our family-friendly status by accidentally opening the barn door and letting the cows out.
Yes, we hate it when that happens.
Yeah, my family were dairy farmers, and I'm told it's a bad thing, and you got to chase them down, and inevitably it happens at the worst weather. And then
how did you know to bring cows into it? Did you know, like, I grew up on a ranch?
I did, because we talked about this in one of your other interviews. But I also have family that own a dairy farm as well. So,
okay.
I am aware of exactly what kind of work that is and why I don't ever scoff at them for the work they do. And then you hear people be like, I don't know why you worry about farms and butcher shops. Just go to the grocery store. Where do you think the grocery store gets? I heard that at a Walmart at the meat carving place.
Yeah.
I was just like, I hope she doesn't vote. And I don't even care what party, because anybody that doesn't know that just doesn't deserve their franchise. All right. So with that out of the way, we do have the Discord up. It is linked to our link. Or excuse me, we do have the Substack up. It is linked to our link tree. If you want to check it out, you can follow us. We threw a link into our Facebook group and on Twitter as well. So if you're following us, you should see it. It's just reminder when the episodes go live with the links to get to all the places, because the world outside of YouTube exists too, and we'd love it if you go to BitChute or Rumble or any of the audio platforms. We're getting harder to discover in the slop of AI created stories and AI narrated stories that is YouTube right now. So we're trying to make it easy for you to find us. With that, we're going to let our guests introduce themselves to our listeners and viewers at home. And we're going to start with Miss Jana S. Brown. Sometimes she cosplays as Jenna Ray. And I'd stopped asking you for the introduction, Jenna, because you were just doing host. But you're here to talk about a subject you're passionate about, which is all the wand-waving coolness. So you get one more shot at the rodeo. See what I did there for you?
Only one more shot, so this is the last show where I get to introduce myself. Are you kidding me?
Well, every time one more is the last shot. So, I mean, you could get a lot of them. You've never been to a bar at last call. Every shot's your last one until they kick you out for real.
Yeah. All right. I am Jana S. Brown. I am the Chief Shenanigator. I write science fiction, fantasy, urban fantasy, and other things under the pen name Jenna Ray. I write other things under other pen names, but we're not talking about those today. And I can be found all over everywhere, and I am happy to be here.
Outstanding. And next we have the one, the only Mr. Jesse James Fain, the outlaw author himself.
Hey everybody, I am Jesse James Fain, or Tyrus Drake, depending on how much romance you like with your violence. I do go by the outlaw author because the branding writes itself. I write martial tales, often focused on vengeance, loss, and redemption. Pretty much anything I can squeeze a sword fight, a fist fight, or a gunfight into.
I wasn't laughing at you, Jesse, but we had talked about in the pre-show whether harem and reverse harem count as romance or some other independent category. So
they're romance. They're a subgenre within romance.
I think they need their own.
But
that was the conversation.
It's a branch out thing.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, that's not the topic for today. So we're going to move right along. I'm going to let Mr. Kevin Petway introduce himself.
Hi there. I'm Kevin Petway. I write humorous fantasy. I wrote the Misplaced Mercenaries series and invented the expanded universe version of that, which is Misplaced Adventures. And I write books that are funny and lighthearted and just meant to be a good time.
Outstanding. And do you ever say how the mercenaries got lost? Did they follow Various into the woods?
Yeah. It's right there, first chapter. when they misplace themselves.
Is your stuff considered cozy?
No.
No.
Really. It's very violent and
Oh goodness.
very
Why?
violent, lots of cussing and yeah, it is meant to be funny.
Oh, okay.
We're still trying to figure out how to get the cozy and the explosions to work well together. I'm working on that. I'm working really hard.
Cozy noir. Cozy.
We've got cozy and serial killers together.
Boy.
Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
I'm convinced she was killed. His body started dropping. Showing
That
up.
is a different conversation.
All right. And that leaves the one, the only, the Chaos Witch herself. If you'd like to introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers at home.
Sure. My name's Maria Schneider, and I am a Chaos Witch. Obviously, or maybe not so obviously, I write a lot of books that concern magic and witches and spells and hedge witches, you name it. I live in the New Mexico desert, and I grew up as a rancher's daughter. And so I also actually have a Western out there. I write cozy mysteries, and my romance is pretty cozy. I leave off a lot of the violence. So I would also say I go for the humor and light, but I try not to do too much head chopping on screen.
Cozy works when it's off screen.
That's right. And very little cursing on screen. Or probably depends on the words. You know, hell and damn are okay, but not much past that.
Okay. All right. And with that, we are going to throw this cover up because I don't want to get distracted on the topic. So as you know, we've been doing the panels. The commercial comes first. And so because this is the only one of us who has written the magic to this degree, I thought you might sponsor this episode. Thank you. And if you want to tell us about the Null Witch.
Okay. Null Witch is about magic and about the lack of magic. There's a lot of magic in the world, but a single touch from me and any enchantment is ashes to ashes, dust to dust. People want me dead, but the homeless are hard to pin down. At least that was true until I made a foolish mistake and rescued a caged mountain lion shifter. My Null is no threat to him, but those who wanted him captured are after me now. Carlos didn't realize the danger when he hired me to buffer him from the magic that can put him back in a cage. I didn't realize the danger of being part of a partnership. Sure, it's better than being hungry on the streets, but it's more dangerous for both of us. Carlos is strong and fast. I'm quick and sneaky. But will Carlos trust me enough to keep me hidden when he finds out what I am? And can I stay free long enough to protect him?
All right. So with that out of the way, it sounds right up your alley, Jana. So, and it's audiobook if you decide to read with your ears.
I have this one. I read
Oh,
it.
you do?
Oh, yes.
Did you read it because we've interviewed her, or did you just read it because it's up
I'm
your
the
alley?
one that brought Maria to us to be interviewed.
Oh, I
Because
didn't
she
remember
and I
that.
have done promotions before.
And I had just finished that particular book. The audio didn't come out until this February, but I had just done the Null Witch. That was the first time I was on.
Yep. So I
Okay.
read several of her books. So there.
Okay. I did not know. I stand corrected. I mean, I probably knew the day we recorded the episode, but, you know, my memory is cheese.
Swiss
So-
cheese. With the whole
But at least it's good cheese, right? You know, goes good on a burger. All right. So
making out of it.
what's that?
Depends on what you're making out of it.
Fair, but again, with the dieting, unfortunately, that means that my mind is going to food right now. But hey, I'm cutting my calories, so it's a win, and I'll suffer. All right. So now that we've got the commercial out of the way, one of the only religion questions we will be doing, because of the fact that it's a panel, is the most important of all of the religion questions. So we are civilized human beings over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. We are no longer knuckle dragging troglodytes. So coffee or tea, and how would you take it? Jana.
Oh, we all know that I don't take either. Well, actually, I do like herbal tea, but it's now getting into springtime and getting warm enough that I'm not drinking a lot of that. But I am a Dr. Pepper fanatic. I like my Diet Dr. Pepper. I like it with lime, and I like it with coconut, and we shake it all together, and it's delicious.
Oh,
That is my very favorite thing, with lots of
So here's something to consider for the rest of you as I ask this to Jana is, do you think if you made your beverages with magic instead of the old-fashioned way, would it change the flavor?
I wouldn't want it to change the flavor, but what I would do is it would take out it would reduce the calories without introducing some of the things that I know are not so good for me that are in these 0-calorie ones. I am fully aware of the fact that aspartame is not good for me, and I'm drinking it anyway because it's aspartame or it's sugar, and I like the flavor of this one, and I'm just rolling with it. But I would make it so that I didn't have to deal with the caloric issues, but it would still taste fantastic.
No, I was just curious if the act of it being made with magic instead of made with love, as they say, if that would change.
Magic is love. I'll argue that point later. Magic is love, so it would taste better.
Even in the world of magic, you don't get anything for free. So, if she made it with magic, she would lose something else somewhere else, or she might end up with a spell that she wasn't quite ready for.
Okay. Well, since you're already talking, what about you, Maria?
I am a big tea drinker, but hot tea, not so much iced tea. And I also really love hot cocoa and chocolate milk, which I think you should put in the program because it's like it belongs there, as a third choice.
And everyone that doesn't drink coffee or tea says that, and they do sell it at Coffee Brand Coffee. Link is in the show notes. Discount code is in the as well. Okay, hot chocolates. Do you put marshmallows or no?
Oh no, whipped cream. No. I will make hot cocoa with half and half, and I will make it with cream, but not whipped.
Okay, and no marshmallows. Do you like the packet stuff, or do you make it from scratch?
Oh, I can't even believe you're asking, JR. I mean, I'm a witch. It's all scratch. I would make the cocoa from the beans if I could.
Okay. What about you, Jesse? You gonna shake it up a little bit and answer differently this time?
Yeah, sure. My local distillery makes a really great what they call Georgia sipping cream, or snow cream, which is basically a really beautiful kind of bourbon and cream. And I make cherry chocolate martinis out of that.
Wow. This guy's a master.
Fancy.
Yeah. So
right there, man.
Yeah.
We go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if we have to answer something warm, then it would be hot chocolate.
We have still not topped the one guest, and I can't remember. He teaches at the University of Nevada, and I could look it up because we've had him on a couple times. But he put peanut butter in his coffee, and so he still tops the weirdness factor for all of us. I tried it, by the way, dear listener, so you don't have to. And it did not separate because peanut butter. If you wanted to blend in with your drink, you needed to be able to attack. The science wasn't sciencing for me. I'm just saying it didn't. It just clumped at the bottom.
We gotta bust out the whisker.
Yeah.
Whisk it in.
Okay, I've been seeing a lot of recipes that require an emulsifier, it's like a blender type thing. So I might have to get one for
stick
that.
blenders. They're amazing.
Is that okay? The emulsifier made it sound all fancy.
Well, peanut butter usually has an emulsifier in it, so if you got that,
the emulsifier.
Yeah, stick blender should do it for you.
Okay.
And you might need a little something. I don't know. Maybe we could.
I know people have put butter in their coffee, so people do their thing, and I just smile and nod.
And butter's just another form of cream, really, though. It's not that different than putting cream in.
It just feels different when you think about it, though.
I personally wouldn't, but yes,
Supposedly
Like
it takes
making pancakes with avocado oil. It just doesn't.
yeah.
All right, Kevin, save us from ourselves. So what are you drinking today?
Let's see. Earl Grey, hot.
Pinky out or no?
Yeah, decaf and stevia.
Okay. All righty. And he was on recently, so if you do remember, he gets a pass on the decaf because it's for medical reasons, and you can't argue with doctors.
And last time we talked, I told you coffee because I had just had some coffee and it was really good. But normally I will go with tea.
And we're going to pretend that my memory is just that good because there's like several weeks between the two episodes, and not the fact that we just recorded the other one yesterday. All right.
Don't give it away.
So one of my professors from college listens to the show, and she reached out to me and told me that she was highly disappointed in my academic rigor because I used Wikipedia as the default setting for definitions. And I quote, "I trained you better than that, JR," which of course people didn't, because it didn't exist, doctor. But anyway, she's a nice lady, and I don't want her mad at me because she's got the short person syndrome where they kick you in the shins and they get really mean. So while we do have to define magic today, we are citing Encyclopedia Britannica, and I had one of those growing up because we bought it from a door-to-door salesman. Fancy, I know.
Very fancy.
Very fancy.
Did you guys have the Encyclopedia Britannica too?
Oh yeah.
Funkin' Wagnalls.
We had World.
I'm not familiar with that one.
That's the one they sold at the grocery store.
Okay.
You would
All right.
I think it was every 2 weeks there would be another book, another letter. So you would go get that, and I was a little kid, and so my mom would always take us down there, and get those. So eventually we had a full set.
That is still awesome. All right. So according to Encyclopedia Britannica, magic is defined as the use of rituals, symbols, and spells to influence events through supernatural, occult, or mysterious forces. It serves as a way to explain the unknown, often contrasting with science, while also encompassing stage illusion, which uses skill and psychology to create seemingly impossible, entertaining, or magical effects. So with that definition from Encyclopedia Britannica, is everybody satisfied with that?
I have no idea what you're talking about. That's like, what? I mean, magic doesn't really have a firm definition, especially if you're writing fiction. And gosh, there is so much more to it than that. There's runes, there's recipes, there's ancestor magic. I don't know. I think they're missing something there.
I don't mind it as a general definition, though, because you look at it, and when you talk about those things, a lot of that falls under rituals. It falls under that idea that it's something that is not easily explainable that allows things to happen.
Well, that's true, but when you're writing a book, you've got to still, it's part of the world building. You've got to have a structure there. So I suppose that's, where you get like the ancestor magic, where you end up with the ritual behind it. So that's fair, but maybe it's a little more complicated. I don't know. What does Jesse think?
I think it works as a functional definition, simply because they included the word spell, and that would be. I don't think it's worth getting into the weeds unless we get into the weeds later on. As far as arguing over the definition, that's pretty much, yes, you use some kind of force through the spell being a recipe, runes, whatever it may be, wand waving, Wingardium Leviosa, and make what you want to happen. And that may or may not have a price. And that's, so yeah, I think it works.
It has to have a price.
Yeah. Well,
that's arguable.
Right?
Yeah, well, what's it say here? Influence events through supernatural, occult, or mysterious forces. That's pretty umbrella. You could fit all the complication you wanted to underneath that, and it'd still work. And I've got 3 different magic systems in my books, and they're all very different, but they all fit into that. And it's so but really Catholicism and praying and stuff like that fits into that too. And as far as costs, my editor really believes in that, and that magic must have a cost. And I think that some magic should have a cost, and maybe some magic shouldn't. Or maybe part of your knowledge is doing an end run around those costs. Until it catches up with you some other way, or maybe it doesn't. But if you've got a god in your book, is that what makes them a god, that they can perform the magic with no cost? Because then they're just kind of unlimited, do whatever they want. I don't know. It just really depends on your book.
I think it's more interesting when fiction is a little more realistic, where there is a cost. I mean, there's a lot of cozies out there that will just have the bewitched, twitch the nose, snap the fingers. But then that tends to lack world building. You don't have that structure. So when the main gets in a situation, she can snap her fingers. And that dilutes the tension right away.
Yeah, it really drains your tension.
Yeah. And the God thing, I've read some much better God fiction of late. I'm not big on that. Oh, God, gosh, I call to my, like, Jana, you write a lot of paladin fiction, and they call on the gods to save them. But you can't overuse that, because magic or not, it's too easy. You have to have that structure, those rules, that cost.
Well, it depends on what people are coming to the story for. And I'll use an example that actually is science fiction, where I recently wrote something that's going into an anthology, and almost all of the actual technology, hard definition of what is going on is completely and utterly hand-waved, because that is not what the story is about. The technical reasons that the technology works, and that this guy in his little submersible does not get crushed when he goes under the ocean, does not matter a whit to what the story is about. Because the story is about a sea cowboy who is chasing a giant leviathan and earning the right to be part of that race and part of that whole thing. That's what the story is about. So the nuts and bolts don't matter. And sometimes when we're talking magic, it depends on what the story is about. In some romance, the story is so firmly about the romance that the magic that goes on around it, it doesn't matter. And your reader is not going to get upset that we don't get in there and define, this is why the magic works, this is what the cost of the magic is, this is this, that, and the other, because they came to the story to get a great romance that has magic special effects, and as long as it's glittery and glowy and it works with the romance, they're perfectly happy. But then you get other things and other readers where they want everything should be defined and structured and have a cost and is very hard. And so that's why when we talk about magic, we tend to have that huge range that is really hard magic with really specific costs, really specific everything that goes around it, and very, very soft magic that is, what does the story need? What does the author need? Because even tales like Gandalf, we have no idea really what Gandalf can do. He does what the plot needs him to do in the way he needs it to do at the moment he needs it to do it. And I'm okay with that. I never question. That's not why I'm there.
For the purpose of this episode, of what we're talking about today, with practical applications of magic in daily life, heavy cost magic. If you do the alchemy thing and lose a limb, you're not going to cast that spell on a daily basis. I don't care how powerful it is or what it does, which is appropriate if you have a huge, powerful spell. But if casting what I would call a cantrip, if prestidigitation to clean your jacket or your house cost you $1,000 or a finger, then we're never gonna see that kind of magic happen. So I think it very much depends on things like power structure and stuff like that. But for what we're talking about now, I think high cost magic isn't practical to daily life.
Well, it doesn't have to be a high cost. I mean, there's, just walking across the room, there's an energy cost. I think it's more when you say practical magic, the magic can actually be a character in the story. So when you have that structure, you actually make it a character. That's what I mean by the world building and the rules. That magic is, whether it's in a romance or a god or ancestor magic, especially probably ancestor magic, because there's usually a ancestor, a face, and a real character behind that magic. So to me, it's also how much is the magic part of the book. Obviously, there's people who read for the romance and they're not interested in the actual magic as much as they are the other entities in the book.
Well, and the world does depend, because when you are on the magic side of Harry Potter, people use magic for practical purposes all the time.
Yeah.
And it's continually going. You go to some place, like one of my favorites is when they visit the Weasley's house, and she has the kind of things that I would want. Now, they do not have extreme costs to them. We don't have any indication that her having her knitting needles over in the corner working on a sweater when she's not there. We don't have an indication that there's a huge cost there, because, again, if there was, then you just sit down and work the knitting needles yourself. But I love those knitting needles going. I love the clock that tells her where her children are in a very practical, motherly way. Are they at school? Are they in trouble? Are they home? Where are your kids? And those are the kinds of things that I really love for practical magic and for very creative magic, is to look and say, what are the everyday things that I worry about, or that I'm trying to do, or that I just don't have enough hands to do, that being able to set a spell and say, yes, you take over taking care of this while I'm doing this, because I just don't have enough hands. And that's one of the ideas I love the most with practical magic.
But you could also do the same thing by having a brownie. The little creatures that help clean your house, and that's I mean, that you can characterize that magic, or you can just click your fingers. So that's all different presentation.
My impression is that the cost of the magic is more about the plot and less about the magic itself. Some of my favorite magic systems are ones that are actually very well developed, that would be considered hard magic if you ever had them explained to you. But it's just like good world building. It exists behind the scenes, and it doesn't have to get explained. And I think that that cost of magic is sort of like Jesse was saying, is sort of in opposition to the practicality of it. The less it costs, the more practical it becomes.
I think at this point, because we don't want to get belabored in the cost of magic, that almost we'll write that down as a follow-on panel from this one, because every panel ends up spawning ideas for others, and I think that's something worth diving into. But I don't want to derail the kind of everyday applications. I will say with the Weasleys, because they were gingers, is it tracking their soul, which not necessarily with the body, because we don't even know if they have souls, or is it tracking their physical presence? Because
I think that was mostly physical presence. They were physically at school, but who knows? It could have been all sorts of stuff.
Okay, so
I left Spirit on the bus a lot, so I'm not sure how that would come back.
So an example that's just fun before we pivot of everyday magic being used that did have a cost is, if you remember the Disney cartoon Fantasia, which was the musical, and it ended up like flooding the tower, which that was an interesting show. If you haven't seen it, dear listener. So obviously, magic in the big sense, like you're going to stop the great big bad evil from doing the big bad thing. Like, everybody gets that. But one of the cool things when we talk practical magic, and not the movie or the books, but just the concept of practical magic, is how you would use it in your everyday life. And that was one of the questions we would ask before we streamlined our approach to authors on their interviews, what magic or tech would you want for everyday use, and then how would you abuse it? Because that's where it gets interesting when people start thinking about technology and magic, which are interchangeable concepts as far as I'm concerned for story purposes. How would you apply that to your daily life? Because, you know, when we read or we watch or whatever, like part of the fun is picturing it if it was real and we were there too, right? So how would you practically use magic? Kevin, you're rubbing your hands. I can see you got
Yeah. So, one of the, oh gosh, I don't even remember when I first started thinking about this, but the ability to create illusions, I think would be massively financially rewarding, especially if you're a writer, because if you write your book and then you just point a camera at the wall and make an illusion of your entire book as, you know, as a movie. So you're basically making a movie for, you know, for the cost of a single camera. And then you can shop it around, you know, for half the cost of any other TV show or movie or whatever. I've always loved that idea. And of course, then you've got a movie of your book. So I that would be one of the first things that I would want to do.
But see,
you know,
you do that.
I couldn't immediately live forever.
But Kevin, you do that. I mean, I haven't read your books in particular, but that's what a book is. It is the magic of the reader sitting down and creating that movie in their head. I mean,
you're absolutely correct. I'm talking about the magic of making a lot of money
every day when you write. So he's a sorcerer and he didn't even know it.
There you go. Get your hat ready. You're good to go there, Kevin. So what about you, Jesse? How would you use magic in everyday life if you had, you know, to do, you know, from a practical purpose?
So I would want, and this is, how can I put this? I would want to use magic the same way I would want to use AI, and it still hasn't happened yet. And what I mean by that is that I want AI to do all the boring, mundane things. I want magic to do my dishes. I want magic to clean the house. I want magic to maybe even cook when I don't feel like it. I do love cooking, but if I don't feel like it and I just need something quick, I want magic to do those things so that I can free up my time for all of the writing and art and design and all the fun stuff, or get to go out and, you know, train other things or do other things or whatever. And so, like, my favorite spell from a practical magic standpoint, I'm going to pull from D&D, is Prestidigitation. Which Prestidigitation allows you as a cantrip. It only has verbal and somatic components. All you have to do is wave your hand and talk. And it would completely clean something, or create harmless little lights, or make sounds, or just very small stuff. But there's a whole lot of utility to it. It's one of the most utility spells in the entire game. I got hit with a shovel full of septic line secretions at one point. We were fixing the septic line; it had busted, and so we're digging through excrement and half dissolved toilet paper and everything like that. And one of my best friend's dads picked up a shovelful and flicked it over the other shoulder. He'd been going over the right shoulder all day, and he went over the left just the one time, and guess who was over his left shoulder?
Yep.
Really could have used Prestidigitation when a shovelful of excrement smacked me in the chest. Would have been nice. That would have been one of those moments. And so that's what I think of when we say practical magic. I'm not thinking self-defense anymore. I'm not thinking trying to even make a huge ton of money, though Kevin's idea is great. I'm just thinking the practical stuff that lets me get on with my day.
So for me, then, the solution for that, if you're looking for that, would be, it wouldn't make me money, but it would save me a lot of money. So if I could get like the Jedi mind trick of, like, this is not the droid you're looking for in a magical form, I would never get a speeding ticket again.
Oh, here you go.
So that's my practical. I mean,
There's a real life technique for that, JR. You know what it's called?
Don't speed.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he doesn't need magic.
But
I
I'm
have
just
a question for you, if I might. So
absolutely.
if you go to, you could have AI write you a crap book, and somebody would read it, but you would hardly be proud of it. If you could have a magic spell that would write your book exactly the way that you would write it, except it would take 2 minutes instead of 2 months, would you do that?
See, I struggle with that one. If the keyboard would type itself while I dictated, or if the or something along those lines, if you use a spell to make myself type faster, I would love that, because I was literally a hunt and peck typer that hunt and pecked so much I don't hunt and peck anymore. So my typing technique is terrible. Like I'm way too slow. I don't have to look at the keyboard anymore, but my hands are in the wrong spot. It's bad.
Me too.
So that, for me, expediting that process would be lovely. But being able to just go, what was the pensive, the memories from Harry Potter, where they could pull the memories out and stick them in a bowl. Me being able to go book would remove the fun of writing. It would remove the fun of the book, because there's oftentimes I go back and I'm like, oh, hey, I need a new character, and this new character is going to fill this place that I didn't see until I was halfway through this draft. So anyway, it would remove that fun for me.
No, it remove the magic. I mean, what you just described there is the practical magic of writing a book. It's the layers. It's the going back in and finding the magic and creating it.
So using the spell takes the magic away.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is.
Sure.
We all need the spell. So you that process is the ritual that you guys, or maybe it's the cost that we're not talking about it. But you can't wave a wand and have the same thing, because you are creating it. You are the practical magic when you're writing.
So one of the things, speaking of the writing process, that could be fun though, is as if you could put some sort of, I don't know, glamour, illusion, whatever it would be, where when you were describing things as how they smell or sound, like they could hear that in the background when they're reading through. Assuming you're writing the right kind of stuff, because not all this.
That's a cool idea.
Like the smell-o-vision or whatever, like when you're watching a movie, or like how many times have you watched cooking videos and they're talking about how good it tastes and smells, and I'm like, I got no idea what you're talking about, people. It's just a picture on a screen.
Well, they actually do that kind of thing at Walt Disney. It's part of the Imagineering. So there are certain rides that you go on, and as you pass through certain areas, you'll smell rain. You'll smell oranges. You'll smell, they're piping those smells and those sensations into the ride. And yeah, I think it'd be lots of fun with books and with other media as well, to be able to have that interaction. And it's the same thing with some of the chairs and stuff that they have at movie theaters now. They'll shift a little bit as we were watching Maverick, and the chairs would shift a little bit as you go. Not as far as a roller coaster, but there's still a shift and there's a vibration. And so we are seeing a lot of media that's kind of pulling that idea into it, and to be able to do it with the spell versus technology could be kind of fun.
I think that's what full cast audio is. When I got into doing the audio for Null Witch, I wanted to learn what was out there, what makes it work, what makes it better. I did a lot of polling on my blog to find out what people were listening to, and it's quite fascinating that full cast audio, and I'm listening to one right now, it's called Crud Rat by Gail Carriger.
Oh.
It's full cast, and it's got music, and it's got, like, if somebody slams a door, you hear the clunk. So a lot of that's being done. And when I worked with Lori Barkin, the fabulous actress who did Null Witch for me, we talked about that. We talked about, do you take out the he said, she said, and put in sounds and sound effects? But every audience is quite different. And if you're a moviegoer, you expect that and can assimilate what's happening. As a reader, when I start listening to full cast, I'm like, what's that noise? Why is that noise there? So it's kind of a case, I think, of not every spell works for everyone. It kind of depends on what you're trying to create. And it is becoming much more popular. Audio tools have come down in cost, so anybody can go out there and make sounds and play with this sort of thing and almost make a movie if you wanted to out of your own book. But I don't know if everyone wants that particular.
Have you ever tried that, Maria?
Doing the sound effects?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually recorded Which Way and another short story, Ghost Town, myself as part of my learning process. And I did play around with sounds. As a reader, I am so immersed in a book that I personally don't need that. My brain has been trained since I guess 2 years old as I started reading. Right. It's in my head. But other people that are very into the audiobooks absolutely love it. So when I recorded Which Way, which was a learning process, so I must have read that 16 times at minimum. And, there's all the voicing, and do I do the loud voice? How much acting do I put into it? There's a comfort level for the reader, the narrator, and then there's that comfort level for the person listening. And you have to find both of those things for yourself, I think, when you're doing it. Just like, they talk about writer's voice. We all have our voice. I think when you're doing audio, it's the same sort of thing, but it's going to be a different voice. It's a different technique. It's a different magic. So I'm still learning. I recorded those. I learned so much from listening to Lori's work and being able to talk to her about what my vision was. And boy, is it fascinating to have a narrator read a book that you've written, because they get something completely different out of some of those scenes that you just have to stand back and go, really? Okay.
But okay, so would you use the practical magic to have the book narrated for people when they buy the ebook and or the print copy, and it just opens up and it reads to them?
I would not, because if you get a chance to even listen to like the preview of Null Witch or any good narrator, wow, it's like a musician. I mean, these narrators can bring something to the work that you don't even know is there. It's another layer. It's their vision of your words, which is very educational for a writer. At least it was for me to listen back to how Lori saw my characters and how she brought them to life in ways that wasn't what I necessarily meant when I wrote it, or how I saw the character. And she would do a certain voicing with them, and I'd be like, that works. And sometimes I was like, no, that is not that character. And I would step back and say, okay, when you put that book out in the world, your magic went into it. Now it's time for the reader to have their opportunity with it. So in many cases, I didn't fight it. I said, that's her vision for it. And it's going to build on my vision and be better for it.
Okay, so
I think I would argue then that the magic, the way that magic would be cool for me in that is if the book or whatever the product is set up with magic that then connects with the sympathetic magic of the reader. Mm-hmm. So that it gives them what it is that they want out of it. And that would be lots of fun as far as I'm concerned, as a practical magic effect would be
right?
connecting to the reader, and then it lets that happen. Because we do need to focus. Our thing here isn't on, our necessarily our specifically writing process, but it's, where would we see practical magic in different medias that are speculative, and how's that fun? And so that would be the fun for me, is to say, maybe that spell on it means that Jesse would have a very different experience with the book than I would, but the magic that is on there would allow each of us to have that experience that we want out of the book. And some of that's what we get already as people, but just saying, if we're going to spell things like that, it could be fun. But what are some other things that do come up as fun practical magic? So for me, teleportation's a big one. I have family that live all over the world, and I get so sad that I can't go visit them, because the time that it takes to get on an airplane, and I have a bad back, and so my very best friend lives in India, and to get on a plane for the number of hours that it would take to get to India, and the expense that it would take to get to India, and all those kinds of things, is not a happening thing for me. But if I could pop from my house to her house, and we could go have dinner together and go take a walk out, and she could show me the cool things in India, and I could pop back out, that is a practical magic that I totally want. I want to be able to just pop and go see all of my little friends and say, I can get rid of, because I don't love, I do love some kind of travel. So there are travels that I would want to take by foot, but there's a lot of travel, especially when we're talking about a long distance, that I do. I want the pop, and I don't have to worry with the teleporters as to whether or not I'd be put back together in the right order. But I would be able to appear in her living room, and we could have a nice dinner together, and then I could get home in time to take care of the dog and not have to take her with me. So that's a practical magic I want in my life, because that would be awesome.
I actually was thinking more along safety lines, like if you could have like magical wards on a pool so no one ever drowns in it again. Or maybe the bumpers on a street, like, because I'm thinking of that highway that's famous in California where sometimes people go off the sides and end up in the water. Like if the bumpers on the edge of roads stop people from ever going outside of the confines of the road. That could be a cool practical application. Although
that'd be a nice spell. Very nice.
I want magical pots and pans, that any food that I create in that pot and pan will be automatically good for me, even if it's like cheesecake or hamburgers or whatever. It's
agreed.
Yeah. And I think having having it be like on a pan or something like that makes it a little bit more interesting, as opposed to just all the food is fine, but I actually have to cook it in that pan. That would make it more fun.
And I do like that. I think one of the aspects of practical magic can be practical items. So I carry way, way too much crap in my purse all the time. We don't even call it a purse. We call it not a purse, because it's this giant bag, and it's heavy, and I wear through them.
Bag of holding.
It's the bag of holding, and actually this one was Think Geek made it, and so it's this big canvas bag. But I still wear the crap out of it, and I would love the actual bag of holding where it did not have weight, so it's not doing bad things to my shoulders. I can reach in there and fetch anything that I want by being able to bring it up to the top, and it wouldn't break down quite so often. And so I think there's a lot of practical items, magical items, that would be really, really great in everyday life, and would simplify a whole lot of things.
You just described Mary Poppins' bag, which I guess technically it's not a bag of holding.
Cozy magic.
It's a carpet bag of holding.
Carpet bag means something totally different where I'm from, and not a good thing.
I know, but that is what it is.
But it really was a carpet bag. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is, if you could get clothes that clean themselves, that would be nice, or iron themselves. I'm just thinking every day.
Still ironed?
I mean, you don't? How else do you get your dress shirt? Well, I guess maybe you don't wear dress shirts, but.
Shoot, I go out in linen and it looks like I slept in it for a week, and I've just given up on ironing. But my family would respect you greatly, because they never understood my complete lack of ironing.
I had to learn in high school because I did the JROTC thing, and then throughout my military career, I had to use it. So.
My dad was late for my wedding because he was ironing his pants for the third time.
I mean, you got to get those creases just right. They got to pop.
Apparently, I'm like, somebody go find my dad. He was in the hotel room and had borrowed an iron from the front desk.
So what other ways would we want to be able to use magic for everyday life?
Repair. Repair would be a huge one for me. I mean, it's always nice to have stuff not break in the first place. But if I can't get a healing spell that will fix my nearsightedness, then I at least want to be able to make sure that my bloody glasses don't break. And if they do break, I would like for them to be able to be fixed easily. And being able to pull the Harry Potter and go, boop, and okay, the glass is fixed would be beautiful.
You are showing your childhood era, because like all the Harry Potter references, I don't think I've ever seen those movies or read the books.
Well, so the thing for me is that Harry Potter, in my opinion, is one of the lowest cost to power ratio magic systems. And I know you said we're not going to talk about cost, so I'm not going to cover that in total. But even the spells they tell you cost something never seem to actually really cost something. They tell you, oh, the killing curse, it cost a piece of your soul. But funny, the dude that broke his soul into 8 pieces and scattered them all across the world is still not having any issues killing people left and right with the killing curse. So I don't know what the cost was supposed to be other than turning you into a jerk. I don't know. Anyway, the point being...
Speaking of turning you into a jerk, we need some sort of practical magic on a restaurant, and when people are mean to servers, like something like, I don't know, a bucket of water just appears magically and drops on them or something. That would, make people very polite. I have seen some idiots at restaurants that are just mean to the poor waiters and waitresses, and that could be a practical effect on a building that you could do. Like, be nice to your servers or else.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Well, like Jesse says, mending is another one that I want, because I have kids, and the holes in pants, the holes in shoes, the fact that my daughter is about this big around but really, really, really long, so I'm continually taking pants in at the sides, and all the sewing works, and I enjoy it. But sometimes to get the fit exactly the way that she would like it, it would sure be nice if I could magically do it instead of having to either build it from scratch or take yards of fabric out and restitch it. Mending would be nice.
In science fiction, the answer to that is we just throw the word quantum or nanite in front of it, and it automatically self-adjusts. So we want that for magic. So the clothes would constantly repair themselves. I'm digging you there.
Cool.
Because as I'm losing weight, my pants are never as form-fitting as they once were, which is a good thing. But now my belt loops are constantly catching on things, and so I've got every pair of pants I own, I'm losing belt loops, and I'm having to pay a seamstress to sew them back on. Right.
Yeah.
So if you could fix that. That would be kind of cool.
I lost a bunch of weight, and the surprising thing for me was not, pulling my pants up. I expected that, but it was when I had bought new pants and my underwear fell down inside my pants.
Yep.
But I think the magic that I would want the most, if I could just pick something, would be like feeding or healing people. Mm-hmm. Except that I think the real value in that would be the ability to teach it to anybody. It would have to be magic that I could spread. That I could just put out a newsletter that would tell everybody how to begin with. I'd have very popular newsletters, but if I could just put out a newsletter that would tell everybody how to heal any ailment or just snap your fingers and make food. Now that would make you very unpopular with some people, but once the cat was out of the bag, it'd be too late.
That's like that the old joke: you get 3 wishes, and one of them is I want to cure blindness and deafness on a subscription model paid to me. But one of the things I'm thinking of, you're talking about feeding people and practically taking care of the indigent and stuff. A food that prevents spoilage as a magical property, because how much of food, I've worked in the restaurant industry, that's how I paid for my degrees, working in food services, and the amount of food that just gets thrown away. And if we could somehow incorporate that so it didn't go bad, and then I don't know. Just to me, that seems like a cool way to deal with the homeless food issues in poor countries too. So,
Sure.
Jana, if you could get your magic to do the knitting for you, would you still want to make blankets by hand?
Yes, I would, but there are things that I would have it fix for me. Like, so sometimes as I'm going along here and I'm having a good time, I will look back and I will go, 5 rows back, I have screwed up. And all I can do at this point is what we call froggy knit, and that's because you make this little jumping motion as you tear it apart. And if I can magically do a thing that goes back and fixes that stitch that is wrong 5 rows ago and adjusts it forward so that I can keep going, I would totally use magic to do that kind of thing.
Magical whiteout.
Yes, it would be like that. It'd be magical whiteout. It'd be a way to fix the error in the thing. Because like Jesse says, this is the thing I enjoy doing. But when I find that I've made a mistake and it's a mistake that matters and that the fixing it's going to suck, I would love to just magically go, and we're going to fix it. And there's certain parts of it that I don't love. Like, I'll show you here. So I'm making these cute little jellyfish, and they have all these cute little legs on them. Stitching the legs on them sucks. It is obnoxious work, and you're working upside down, and you're trying to work into the thread. So I would love it if I could say, I have made the little jellyfish guy, I've made the little legs, and I can just go, boop, and the legs would just stick in where they're supposed to stick and stay there. So I would love little bits of practical magic that you could apply to something that you already love and say, the little part that I don't love, the stitching the little legs on or whatever, that's where I can apply the magic, and they're going to stitch where they're supposed to, and they're going to stay there forever. Because that's the other thing I hate is the legs coming out. Because if I'm making this, especially for a kid, I don't want the legs to ever come out. So yes, I would use it in my hobbies, but I would want to be able to use it very selectively.
I'm just thinking about like being able to like clone yourself temporarily, where it's not like it's just a copy of you to do your cleaning for you while you're sleeping. Like, all the dishes are suddenly washed and the dusting is done, and the yard is pooper scooped, and all the mundane stuff that gets in the way of living.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, go on.
I'm going to clone somebody to do my laundry and dishes. I'm going to clone like Sofia Vergara.
So you kind
of want to look at me doing it.
It's got to be better than that.
Right.
In my head, when it's cloning me to do it, I also get credit for the calories that person burned.
I like that. Okay.
I have a thought that I would like to be able to split myself into several me's because, and this is going back to the enjoyable things. There are so many things that I want to do, and there's just not enough hours in the day to do them all. And they're enjoyable things. They're things I want to experience. And so sometimes I do think it'd be kind of fun if you could split yourself into 3 or 4 copies, and this copy gets to go and work on the sewing, and this copy is going to go hang out in the garden, and this copy is going to write, and this copy is going to go bake good things. And then they all come back together, and I have that shared experience of all of those things. And I think that would be tremendously satisfying. Because I look at the time turner and I think I'd just get tired having to keep reliving those hours over and over and over again. But if it actually split into several of me who all experienced the cool things and then came back together. Now, what we're not talking about on this show that maybe we should talk about on another show because we don't have time for it here is that, there's a lot of, we're talking about the fun, positive applications of practical magic. There's a lot of ways that these practical things could go phenomenally wrong. But that's probably for another show because I can think of if they all come back together and somebody had a really wretched day, how does that affect all of the good things that I had going on there? But I
was just thinking about that. I'm like, well, what if one of you gets murdered while you're out doing the thing?
Those are things that would.
And they're not coming back.
That's true. It's 100% not coming back.
I will add the cost of magic as a future panel, and then that kind of fits into that. Okay. What about you, Maria? What other things would you like to be able to use magic to do on a daily basis?
Well, I'm kind of a big believer in that we all do use magic to get certain things done, and we add magic to our day. But the one thing that I haven't been able to magic is the weather. And I think you could do like fantastic things in places if you could magic the weather. Stop floods. You could maybe get my garden some nice water. I live in the desert. My brother raises cattle now. It's like, if we could get some rain, so that would be a really nice practical spell.
That's one of the things that we didn't really cover in the beginning when we talked cost of magic. I made a note to cover it later, but the concept of the butterfly effect. So it's not necessarily the cost of what happens to you, but the knock-on effects is if you do this, then what? Have you guys seen the movie where the girls become witches and then I'm drawing a blank. The craft, yeah. Where one of the things they talk about was like, you got a green light, but then everyone else slammed and was having accidents because their light didn't change, right? Like the ripple effect is part of what you're talking about. Because if you do this, are you sucking water from somewhere else?
If I get rain, who misses out? Or if I get enough rain, maybe that's too much rain for the guy downriver.
Yeah, so that's something to think about. I made a note to cover that more deeply when we put that panel on the book. So, Jesse, as we start wrapping this up, I'm going to give everyone one more shot, one more bite of the apple. One last thing you'd want for daily use if you're getting magical.
Oh, I think we've covered most of it for me, honestly. It gets to a point where it's like, I think healing goes beyond practical magic, but I feel like that's the next step. From like we've covered kind of fixing everyday issues, we've covered teleportation, which was great. We've covered all of the, I think, little things that happen, and now we're starting to lean into self-care and self-actualization. I'd say as much as I wouldn't want my own books to be written by magic, I would love to be able to consume material by magic. I would love to be able to go grab the medical dictionary and just boop it, and that be the end of that.
Osmosis, learning through osmosis.
Yeah, pretty much. I would love to be able to do that with a lot of nonfiction material. Fiction I would want to enjoy, but the nonfiction for sure.
Well, nonfiction can be enjoyable. I'm a nerd who likes all the cool like history and science, and so. Yeah. But I get what you're saying. The practical skills you'd want to learn, be able to absorb the textbook. Although there's a difference between knowing the knowledge and having the muscle memory to do it in the moment. But one of the things that I'm going to end mine with for practical magic is the ability to get good Wi-Fi no matter where you are, because there have been times when I would like to have talked to Jesse, but his mountain of solitude just doesn't get signal all the time. Sometimes the one little cloud gets in the way of the one shiny spot on his mountain, and then it's just, boom, you're done. No Jesse.
I'm working on it.
So, but if we could do that with magic, think of all the people could live further from the cities and like still be connected. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, until you want to turn the damn thing off.
Well, that's why you need a null witch to block the magic.
Speaking of, and I'll have a follow on to Jesse's, so I'm going to jump in here, and then you can do everybody else, because you're talking about being able to absorb that. What I want is a magic to make it so that I remember all of the crap that I've read. I have a pretty good memory of it, but the exchange that I have for remembering esoteric stuff means that I have lived in this neighborhood for 7 years, and there are still people who I look at them and I go, I know who you are, but your name is not something that gets the front part of my brain because it's busy thinking about werewolves. So I would like that. I would like the magic of being able to look at people and go, I remember your name, because that is one that just poofs out for me. And I would like some of those mundane things to get shifted to the back of my brain to be instant recalls, so that I don't stand there in the grocery store and go, oh gosh, you live just down the street from me and I have no idea what your name is. I know who your kid is. I have a kid, but I don't know your name.
So remember, everybody, now you know what the answer is. If Jana or I cannot remember your name for any reason, just blame the werewolves.
It's true.
There you go.
All about the werewolves.
I was like that I would like to blame the TBI for that, but I was like that before. I remember when I was working at a coffee shop and I couldn't tell you the person's name, but I'm like, oh, black coffee, 3 sugars. Like I could remember their order though, or their dog if they came in with their puppers, because the Philadelphia area when I was going to grad school was very dog friendly. So I could remember their dog's name and I could remember their coffee order and their whatever pastry they're getting, but their name, yeah, So I'm with you. What about you, Kevin?
So when I was a teenager, I spent an inordinate amount of time trying to come up with, my perfect 3 wishes.
Oh, yes.
If I ever had that opportunity, and both Jana and Jesse's answers sort of brought up one of those wishes that really fits, which is to just be able to know any information by dint of wanting to know it. So, and that way I don't have to remember it, because I could just want to know it again if I did forget. But there is a really practical upshot for that right now, which is just how rampant misinformation is. So that would completely take that out of the equation. There would be no more misinformation for you, because you would just say, I want to know the actual fact. And at the time, I was thinking of it as sort of like an end run around not being able to wish for more wishes, because instead I could just wish to know how to get whatever the hell it was I wanted.
So I got the solution for how to get indefinite things with the like, I want to live forever. I can't do that. Well, I just want to live till everyone in government is honest. Boom. and those little, or I want to live until I've read the last book on my to be read pile. Boom, immortal.
It's true.
Absolutely.
So, all right, as we bring this to a close, what about you, Maria? Last one for the road. Practical magic.
Okay. Well, I think for me, I would like the ability to be much more aware of what's around me. I can remember the time that my husband was outside and I was in here, and all of a sudden I hear what the hell is that? And
Uh-oh.
yeah, and I walk out and there's a rattlesnake going 1,000,000 miles an hour, and my husband has got a chair and the cat's out there, and we're like, oh, holy hell, what are we going to do now? Where's that thing going to strike? And it was coiling. And not too long ago, one of the ranchers mentioned that he'd been seeing a lot of cougar tracks on our property. I would really like to somehow have a spell that, like, let me know if that cougar was behind me.
The alarm.
I'd like to know where all the snakes were at when I go out in the yard.
That is pretty specific, but it's very practical.
Yes.
That's what we're going for, right?
So the other one is, I was thinking about the movie, where the magical people come out of the cupboard, and they grow in size because they go alive in the cupboard. I'm drawing a blank on it. It's a book I read as a kid, but they also covered
Indian in the cupboard.
Yes, they also covered this in the the Rock movie where he was the elf for Santa.
Red one.
Yeah, where he's able to take the toys and he uses his magic, and suddenly that Ferrari or whatever from Matchbox is full size, and boom, he's got a car. Like, to be able to shrink and then put it away when you're done, and then use the thing, and then, like, that would be very handy for various things, right? Like,
absolutely.
And then you combine that with a bag of holding, and you're really in business, because then you got your Ferrari in your little bag bag of holding. Yeah.
It would be fantastic.
So there you go. All right. This is the part, dear listeners, where I remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right book. So do your part. It really does matter. I would like to ask you, dear listener, to join the conversation, be it on Substack, Discord, Facebook, whatever. What would you want for practical magic on a daily use? If you got comments on anything we said, we got it right, we got it wrong, somewhere in between, join the discussion. It makes it more fun and helps tweak the algorithms. And with that, we're going to work round robin, starting with you, Kevin. Where might we find you on the Wild Wilder interwebs, and what are you working on now?
You can find me at my website, which is kevinpetway.com, publisher's website, that is curseddragonship.com, and there's a lot of books there. I'm for sale, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all of the places that you would get books. Audible, all of those good things. And what am I working on now? I am working on a brand new series. We just got the first book finished with a friend of mine, Jeremy Brundage, and it is also a fantasy, but the theme of it is compassion versus cruelty, and seeing how that plays out in a larger political and magical setting.
Okay, Jesse, how might we stalk you on the wild interwebs, and what are you writing at the moment?
Outlawauthor.com will get you to all of my socials. X, Instagram, whatever. I have my personal Facebook page. You're more than welcome to add me, but that's a very unfiltered, that's not a professional me, that is personal me. Still
that is
add me
not a cozy environment.
Yeah, no, it is not a safe space. So there's that. And my Substack is where the biggest amount of news and updates and everything like that comes through. I do all kinds of fun rants and stuff like that on there. As far as what I am working on, I am really heavy pushing into my first debut novel. It's called Gravesinger. It is a necromancer Green Beret who gets tossed into a world he never knew existed. It's basically a interdimensional sea. So he gets to travel all around and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And that should be kickstarting around late April, early May. And then from there, I'll be working on the additional antho that's set in the same universe. It's called The Holy Diver in the Midnight Sea. And I'm going to have all the faces you'll recognize on here: Charlie Cox, JT Arale, even Jason Cordova pitched in for a story. So we're going to have a heck of an antho to continue the universe.
All right. And then what about you, Maria? Where might we find you on the wild interwebs, and what are you working on at the moment?
Best place to find me is bearmountainbooks.com. That'll get you, I have my own store there, and I have all the links to all my other places. My ebooks are available everywhere: Amazon, Kobo, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, you name it. My audio is available at my own store, bearmountainbooks.com, and it's also available at Google Play and Kobo Books. So you can find that there. What am I working on? I'm working on something called Hedge Witch. And now everybody is shocked. And I can assure you it is full of practical magic, because there's not much more practical than a hedge witch.
Okay. And finally, Jana, since you're here as a guest and not as a host for this topic because you get all nerdy about it.
You can find me at linktree, linktr.ee/Opal Kingdom Press, and that's got links to all of the other things. I am the loser at Internet Hide and Go Seek, so if you look for these two pen names, if it has to do with publishing and it's associated with those, it is me almost all the time. I think we're up to 99.873% of the time, those will be me. So I'm out there. I'm easy to find, much to my son's chagrin, because he's a network security guy, and he looks at all of the things and goes, "Oh, Mom." It's like, but how else? I'm an author. I have to be found. So that's the way things work, and he'll just have to get over it. But what I'm working on right now, JR and I are working on the Reboot project still. That is a military lit RPG, and we are having fun with that and trekking right along. So hopefully we will have news about that soon. The day after this podcast airs, I will be releasing the anthology Tentacles and Tides, which is all seed creatures, and I've got some really, really great stories in that. It's an anthology through the press, so it's got a bunch of people. Melissa's in there, and myself and JT Evans and a bunch of other really, really smart people. So that is a fun anthology. And then I am working on my Diana McDonough stories. That is urban fantasy with a cop who is ridden by a wasp spirit and ends up in trouble the vast majority of the time. And I enjoy writing her. And so she's got lots of short stories out, and we will start releasing books this year. All right, you're up, JR. What are you doing?
I am working on the reboot and working on the Wargate stuff. And if you read my March newsletter, you will know that I got the special super secret magic glasses with prisms in them that have gotten rid of my brain fog. So I am working on reflexing the muscle to get my word counts back to where they were before this was an issue. So hopefully we'll have progress soon now that we're at it. I am, as we record this, on the start of my second week with these, and I have spent the last week reading and no headaches, no brain fog. I am winning, better living through science.
Nice.
So I'm enjoying the win, and we're going to get back to it because I missed. That's why I was doing so much short content, because you could at least feel like you did something. You got that sense of accomplishment. But now that I got my brain back, I feel like it's time to dive back into the novels. So speaking of novels, if you want to, well, no, that's a horrible segue. I could do better. But anyway, if you want to follow us, dear listener, you can find us on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree/Blasters and Blaze Podcast. Again, Linktree/Blasters and Blaze Podcast, where we link to all the things: the BitChute, the Rumble, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Twitter. We've got our Spotify, our Discord, our Blasters and Blaze Facebook group and Facebook page, in Substack. We have our email, blastersandblazepodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandblazepodcast@gmail.com for professional purposes only, people. Save the shenanigans from Stabby Stab over there on the Instagram, Twitter, and the email. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment sections for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will drink that coffee, brand coffee, tea, and hot chocolate. They will drink it until they get high on their own supply, people. Sorry, I got distracted by a dog that dropped a treat at my feet. No, I don't want his bone, but he doesn't know that. If you want to help support the show, you can use the link in the show notes for Coffee Brand Coffee. The discount code is Podcast Grunts. You get 10% off. We get a little bit of a kickback. It's a win-win, people. And with that, I would like to thank all of you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades Podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. And with that, we're going to hit the end button. Wait for it.